Welcome to Rethinking Parenting. My name is Christina Young, and I teach parents of teenagers. Join me here on Fridays to learn practical tools, strategies, and scripts designed to help you manage the challenges of raising teens in today's complex world. Welcome back to Rethinking Parenting with Christina Young. I have a solo episode for you today, and it's called I Deserve This, and it's good for my kids. I meet with parents all the time who are 100% dedicated to their children and proud of it. They wear this commitment like a badge of honor. Their kids' schedules, their kids' desires dictate absolutely everything. And what's interesting is that they report all of this with pride, but in the same breath, they also report incredible amounts of stress and fatigue and burnout. The more I hear about this, the more I want to step in and remind parents that this is not healthy. It doesn't benefit them, it doesn't benefit the kids. So I decided to do a brief solo episode on this topic today because it seems to be coming up even more right now as we're transitioning into the summer. And I'll explain that in a moment. My hope is by the end of this episode that you will feel motivated to prioritize yourself more, your physical and mental health, your marriage, your partnership, before securing your kids' needs and schedules. I know that's a big ask. Let's dive into this next episode. It seems like most parents I know who I work with, whether they're in Connecticut or in Miami, allow their kids' schedules, preferences, and desires to drive the family. It's very unusual for parents these days to schedule their own desires into their calendar before those of their kids. So let me explain. Imagine that you looked at the month ahead with a blank calendar template in front of you and you said to yourself, how many workouts do I need this month? How many date nights with my partner would be smart and fun for me to schedule? How many things do I want to plan this month with my two dearest friends who are local? How many times this month would I like to plan a solid hour of reading, journaling, I don't know, meditating, knitting, painting, whatever your thing is? No, I know this sounds like I'm telling you to live in quite a fantasy world, but I promise you it's actually not. Obviously, this is a much bigger ask of me for those of you with legitimate little kids. But I think most of my listeners have kids who are a bit on the older side. Hear me out, though. I want to tell you a quick story about when my husband and I lived in Mill Valley, California, and we had a little one, like 1-year-old, 2-year-old, and we didn't have money to have babysitters, housekeepers, nannies, none of that. That was a rare expenditure. I had a great group of moms that I was in a mommy child play group, and the moms and I just organized a schedule, which I really miss this actually. And we would just agree, like on Mondays, these 3 moms are watching all 8 kids. And on Tuesdays, these 3 moms are watching all 8 kids. And it just benefited everybody. Because if you weren't on duty as one of the moms babysitting the kids, you had this chunk of like 3 hours off. So you could go do whatever you needed to do. So my point is, with a little creativity and commitment, it is actually doable to build in that time, even if your kids are little. The thing that was awesome about that, obviously, is that the kids got the playtime. The socialization was incredible for them. This was like before they went to preschool. Okay. My belief is that if you have any extra money during this busy phase of your life, you should throw that money at babysitting more than anything else. Because if you throw the money at babysitting, it means you're nurturing your marriage, for one. We've talked about this in another episode. Nurturing your marriage might be the most important investment you can make in your family. But more importantly, today, I want to talk about what happens if you throw money at a babysitter so you can take care of yourself, your mental health, your physical health. You're worth it. You deserve that. And I want you to start believing that. I find with the moms I work with, some believe it 100%, and some I can tell really don't believe it yet. And they're suffering because of it. What I hear the most in my office, this is this idea of procrastinating on self-care because I don't know, moms say, "Oh, it's just too chaotic at my house," or "We only have X number of years left with the kids and I just want to make sure I put them first and meet all of their needs." And there's this idea that seems to be so prevalent of putting yourself on the back burner for a number of years in order to focus on the kids. And this is actually what I hope to debunk with you in this episode today because it's not smart. And I want to remind you that I'm standing on the other side of parenting where I've launched 3 kids. And I'm now in the phase where I do have time and attention and money to focus on myself, my goals, my friendships, my marriage, my personal life. And there's some areas where I did a good job maintaining things and others not so much. And the cleanup job is tough if you're not doing it consistently throughout the phase of parenting actively. I want to focus on 2 specific areas of self-care that are crucial with a capital C. The first one is your physical health. It is not something that you can put on the back burner as some kind of a gesture of, oh, but I'm so dedicated to my kids. It's not a good choice to make. In an ideal world, you are scheduling your own workouts into your calendar the way you would your kids' dental appointments. You know, you don't really blow off dentist appointments, right? You go because you don't want to deal with cavities for your kids. I want you to have that same level of commitment to yourself. Write them in pen, put them in your calendar. Don't blow those workouts off, regardless of what they're, even if it's just taking a walk in your neighborhood. I know it's so easy to be like, I don't really feel like it today. It's so important to your mental health and your physical health. Refilling your tank with exercise allows you to be the best version of yourself that you can possibly be. This is not news. You all know this. I know this. We've heard this forever. But why do we blow off exercise then, especially when we're swamped with kid duties? Here's what I've noticed. It seems to me that it's very hard for some of us to wear 2 hats simultaneously. There's some rigidity that I've picked up in a lot of the moms I work with, whereby they sort of switch on to mom identity and they can't switch out of it. It's really hard for them to have the fluidity and flexibility to go back and forth between I'm a mom this hour, but now I drop my kids at school. And so for the next 7 hours, I'm a woman and I can take care of my own needs. I can work out, I can meet with a friend, I can volunteer, I can work, I can do projects, I can think, I can read, I can be intellectual, all of the things that fill my tank so that when my kids come home at the end of the day, if I'm the one greeting them, I can greet them with energy. For some reason, we put that parenting hat on and we get stuck in that mode. We're constantly running this false narrative in our head. We can work out later. We can take care of ourselves later. And it seems the more we do that, the more we run that false narrative, the more we get stuck in it. And the harder it is to switch gears to being a woman instead of a mom. I'll tell you a little story. I always remember when I was working in Greenwich, Connecticut, I had a psychiatrist that I would refer my clients to when they wanted medication, when we made that decision together. And this psychiatrist would always say to me, and I just thought this was a brilliant kind of filter. He would always say to me, I can't see your referral until your referral has spent 6 months working out religiously 3 times a week to the point of sweating. If they've done that religiously and they are still feeling anxious or depressed, they're welcome to contact me. But if they contact me prior, I'll ask them that question, and I'm not going to prescribe medication for them if they haven't invested in themselves first in that way of maintaining their physical health. I just always thought that was so interesting. And the way he explained it to me, which we've all heard and read articles about, is your brain can produce naturally the synthetic version of all of the things you're going to receive in medication. It's actually available to us if we go and work out to the point of sweating. So that's pretty intriguing and enticing, I think, at least to me. Okay, moving on, let's discuss your mental health as it pertains to your being worth it, to your deserving these chunks of time where you're off duty as a mom. So, again, I want to remind you that I know the guidance I'm giving you is very difficult to achieve if you have an infant or a toddler. I know that. I am not naive. I've done it 3 times over. But again, I think the majority of my listeners don't, they have kids who are in elementary and middle and high school and college, or kids who are older. So again, if your kids are going to school, they're going to camp, or they don't live at home, I'm talking to you. What I hear in my office quite often is that the kids' needs and wants tend to dictate every waking moment for the parents. And I want to remind you that you have permission to set boundaries. Some kids are in the phase where they might want to talk to you incessantly about all the details of their friend dynamics and who has a crush on this guy and what happened at this party. Obviously, other kids are completely reticent and you're begging them to talk. But for those of you where the kids want to process their feelings incessantly, I'm talking to you right now. And I want to remind you, you have permission to say to your teen, I need 30 minutes to myself to do a couple things. I'm looking forward to hearing the rest of your update when I come back downstairs in 30 minutes. That's all it is. That's called boundary setting. You turn and walk away and you go up to your room and you shut the door and you do your thing, whatever that is, that's going to refill your tank. The beautiful thing about parenting kids this age is that you know they're safe. They're not going to stumble and like crack their head open on the coffee table. These are the parents I hope are really listening right now. I want you to be able to set these boundaries with your kid. Let them know that in addition to being the mom, which you obviously take very seriously, you're also a friend, a sister, a daughter, a part-time whatever, a board member, employee, whatever you are. You have multiple hats that you wear. Your kids need to know that it's not an all access all the time situation with you. You have boundaries and you will use them. Without guilt is the key. And I know that's going to be tricky for some of you. But let me explain why you're allowed to do this without guilt. You are going to set these boundaries with your kids because it's good for you and you deserve it. And it's good for your kids. They need to understand that they are not the end all and the be all of your life. They need to know that their needs and desires do not dictate everything for you and your partner. They need to feel something they can push up against, called a boundary or a rule. And they need to kind of feel that brief ouch of, oh, wait, I guess she's serious. I guess she's not caving to my whims. Why is this so important? They just need to know they're not the center of the universe. And they need to know that whatever that is they wanted to tell you, it actually can wait. And now they have to sort out, what am I going to do during this 30 minutes where I've been denied access to my parent? They're going to have to sit in the muck of the discomfort, the disappointment, the frustration of like, no, I wanted to tell you about this now. What could be better for your teen? To hear a solid no, I'm not available right now. Okay, so what's your teen going to do for that 30 minutes? Well, a lot of them are going to get on TikTok, or they're going to text their friend or call their friend, maybe play with the dog, maybe go for a walk themselves, maybe write in a journal, maybe, I don't know, sit and space out. But the key is they're going to learn what it feels like to be alone and be okay with being alone, even when they have a desire to share. And do you see how this is a win-win for both of you? Because during the 30-minute break that you just carved out for yourself, you're able to have a moment to reset, to take care of your own needs, to get balance, take care of your mental health. Maybe you're reading, maybe you're writing, maybe you're calling a friend, maybe you're listening to a podcast while you're stretching. My God, maybe you're even having sex with your husband. Imagine that. And feeling like you have permission to do so. The door's locked. Whatever it is, however you choose to spend this time is up to you. But the key is that you showed initiative in setting the boundary and carving it out for yourself. And I know for a lot of moms I work with, this sounds like a leap of faith. And like, really, I don't know if I'm allowed to do that. I'm here to tell you, you have permission. You're actually the only person standing in your own way. Okay, so we've talked about your physical self, and we've talked about your mental health and how you need to set appropriate boundaries. And now I want to talk about your adult time with friends and how crucial, again with a capital C, this is to your well being. I find that this is another area that a lot of my clients let slide. In an effort to meet all of their kids' needs, they say, it's okay. I'll get together with my friends another time. And I want you to think about this. Imagine that all you do is work. You spend time with your family, you collapse into bed, you wake up, rinse, and repeat. Yikes. But I fear that this is what some of you are doing. You're not carving out time where you are allowed to spend crucial, special time deeply involved in conversation with friends. Sometimes I will ask my clients to imagine that their teenager is sitting on the couch with us, and I will ask the teenager, we'll imagine, pretend we're asking your teenager, hey, name your mom and dad's closest friends, A, and B, when's the last time you saw your mom or your dad spend time with those closest friends? This can be a very sobering moment for my clients because they realize, damn, I'm not carving out that time. And I wonder what conclusions my kids are coming to about me and my friendships. So, this is where I want to talk about the importance of what we model for our kids. And I actually hope this question comes across your brain like daily, if not hourly. What am I modeling? There's nothing more significant to the parenting of your children than what you are modeling. Way more important than the words you choose to use. Do you want to model all work and no play? Do you want to model that you forego everything in your life for them? Is that a smart thing to model? Do you want to model that deep, close friendships are crucial to our survival and that they require time and attention and commitment? Remember that your kids are watching and they're learning from you every minute. It's super important to remember the dedication to friendship actually is research based. I want to remind you of a study by Waldinger and Schultz that resulted in an amazing book called The Good Life. In that book, Waldinger and Schultz, they did the longest research study ever. And they said that while many people think that fame, fortune, and hard work are the things that bring happiness, it's actually our social connections that are the most important for our well-being. The strength of your social connections is the greatest predictor of long-term happiness. I think you already know this. I think all of us know this. It's not new information. It's everywhere in every meme and podcast and article and book, but somehow we don't act on that knowledge. So I want you to take stock of your time, and I want you to think about how much time am I dedicating to nurturing my social connections? Is this a regular habit for me? Or do I just hope that like one weekend a year with my college buddies that someone else organizes is enough? Because I'm here to tell you that's not enough. It needs to be a more regular part of your life. And again, I want you to think about, what do you hope to model for your kids? Because they're watching and you are imprinting so much more than you care to realize. I want to end this episode by coming back to the title I decided, which is I Deserve It and It's Good for My Kids. Why did I choose this title? Because I think some of my clients are still working on this belief, this idea that they are allowed to have fun. They have permission to wear many other hats besides just being a parent. They're allowed to carve out time for themselves while the kids are even home to take the best possible care of themselves. I think we often stand in our own way with these false narratives that we run in our head. See if you can ask yourself this question. Do I really believe that I am worth it? That I deserve to have breaks? That I deserve to take the best possible care of myself, my mental health, my physical health, my friendships, my marriage, my relationships? Do I deserve that? What I've learned over the years in working with adults is they tend to be motivated in two different ways. Some are actually motivated based on their own goals and desires, and they believe they are worthy of investing in these goals and desires. They're okay with dedicating the time to themselves to achieve what they want to achieve. And I hate to say this, but that tends to be more the men. Others, which tend to be more the women, are motivated by what's best for their kids. Only when they understand that doing something might actually benefit their kids are they willing to do it. Hence the title of this episode. I deserve this and it's good for my kids. It's both. That's the angle I wanted to suggest here. I'm always looking at what motivates human behavior, which angle I can highlight that might actually begin to produce a change in someone. So, in conclusion, I ask you, what will motivate you to set boundaries and to take the best possible care of yourself while you are still deep in the throes of parenting? Will it be because doing so is actually really good for your kids and it'll allow them to have to manage feelings of frustration, disappointment, discomfort, things that our kids need practice managing? Or is it because it's clearly good for you as an adult? And research even tells us that. It will contribute to your longevity as a human, as a wife, as a husband, as a partner, a friend, a spouse, a daughter, all of those things. So figure out for yourself which aspect of this motivates you the most, maybe both, and then commit. You deserve to take the best possible care of yourself that you can manage, and it's so good for your kids. You and your partner can commit aloud to supporting each other on this task as you both commit to better self-care and boundaries, especially as summer is right around the corner and schedules are going to get looser with the kids. This is a great opportunity to drill down on this goal of better self-care. I hope this episode resonates with you and reminds you of something that maybe was already lurking in the back of your mind and you just needed a little reminder, a little nudge. And now I want to tell you about Leap for Ladies, an amazing organization here in Miami that is so dear to my heart. If you're looking for a way to make a real difference, LEAP helps formerly incarcerated women, many of them are moms, rebuild their lives through in-prison education, safe transitional housing, and job training at Dragonfly Thrift Boutique. This boutique is amazing. I have been. Shop with purpose, learn more, or just donate at www.leapforladies.org and be a part of a woman's second chance. Thanks so much for listening today. If you haven't gotten a chance, please go to my podcast. You can find it on Apple, Spotify, YouTube. Rate, subscribe, leave me a comment. I would really, really love that. Thanks for listening. Have a great day. Thanks for listening to today's episode of Rethinking Parenting. If you enjoyed the episode, please be sure to rate, follow, and subscribe. I read all of your comments, feedback, and suggestions, and I so appreciate them. So keep sending them in. Thank you.